Plicker magic. So, does it work in practice? In the staff CPD session, I used Plickers a little beyond what it's really meant to do and still managed to work successfully. I collected this data from a total of roughly 70 members of staff. I have individualised data on who's had what kind of response. I managed to sort that out post-session in about 10 minutes flat. And apart from the half a dozen or so people who forgot to put their initials on, I actually have a personalised response in terms of what your needs are for the next session. So I'd say, in my view, that that's a pretty successful way to use an app for AFL. Hope you find it as useful as I do. Plickers is a very useful system for collecting AFL data during the lesson. Essentially, you will need to log on to plickers.com via the laptop, find the sign up section and create yourself an account using your work email address. Once in, you'll want to go to the classes section where you can set up a new class by clicking here on add new class. We'll have a look at that in more detail in a moment. Once you've done that, any classes that you've created will appear in the iPad view. So, in the web view on your laptop, once you've clicked on new class, you're met with this screen. You type the name of your class in, and these drop-down menus are geared up for the American curriculum, I'm afraid, but there are a range of options that are suitable, and you can select a class colour as well. You'll be then taken to this screen where you can set up your usernames and assign them cards. This is an automated process. So, the best thing to do is simply to use pupil initials, as I have done here. That makes sure that we're not in any danger of sharing personal data if things get out to where we don't want them to be. Every time we press the return button on our iPad keyboard in this case, or on your normal keyboard on your laptop, you'll be given the option to create more and more students. Cards will be assigned as you go through until eventually you'll have a page that looks a little bit like this. So in this case I've assigned the entire English department a Plicker card. Now the next job is then to make sure we've got those cards printed for use in class. Notice there is a printing icon just here. So let's have a look at what happens next. Once you click on the print icon on your web page on your laptop, you'll be met with a page similar to this, depending on which browser you use. So over here I can actually click on the printer destination and change that to the printer that I want to locate. Now in this case, one of the options is to save these as a PDF to print later from that menu. And here's the menu that I just used. As you can see here, all the printers that I might have access to are available, all the option to save. So now we've set up classes via the laptop on the internet, it's time to move over to the iPad where we design and run our questions. So, when we first log into Plickers on the iPad using the same username and password we set up via the laptop on the internet, we'll be met with any classes we have set up and the number of students assigned. The next thing then is to click on a class. In this case I'm using the class test, which takes you through to this next screen here. Pretty straightforward. The next thing we need to do is click on this plus button, which then takes us through to designing a question. There are two forms of question. In this example here, we have the simple question. We put the question text. Notice it is a finite amount of space and simple answers. So it may well be give the options to the students via PowerPoint or verbally. The next view is to slide across this button to become more advanced, where we will have the actual responses available here as well. That's my preferred option. Gives us a few more possibilities later on. So we type in our question, our choices. What we must do is then select one of our answers to be the correct answer. So in this case it's C. Once we've done that, happy with our questions, we click on Plan It at the top right there. This then takes us through to this screen here. Now, as we were inside the class, we can see the class initials that I set up there. I can scroll down to see those. To run my question and collect the Plicker data, I click on the camera icon. Having asked a question, the students hold up their Plicker sheets in the right orientation. I will have a camera view and can quite simply point my iPad camera at the students, and every time a response successfully registers, you'll see that appear within the screen of the iPad. We'll have a look at that next. So over here we have the live view, and as you can see, as we point the camera, when a Plicker response card is being successfully recorded, we see this little red bubble appear, and as you sweep your camera around the classroom, those will tally up. Now if you know the number of Plicker signs being held at you, you'll see that your total will grow. Now this says out of 0 as there are no assigned students. It's an open Plicker account. If the class has 15, you'll see 2 of 15. So obviously you need to know how many students from your class are actually present that day. Once you're done, you can press tick. If you want to clear your data and start again, you can click here. When you choose the tick option, it takes you back to this screen, and as we can see here, we have a summary of responses, which gives you the immediate AFL you need to know in terms of how many students have answered which response. These numbers here, if you have a class list set up, the initials of the student will appear. For a more complex and detailed after the lesson report, we'll have a look online via the laptop. So after the lesson, you might want to log into plickers.com and click on the reports section. You can click on the class group that you want to filter by, or simply click on the question that you want to analyse. Once you click on the answer that you want to analyse, it will take you through to the actual question that you want to look at. So, as this particular version was done without a set of lesson names, everyone's gone in as guest. If you set your class up, each of these card numbers will be assigned to the initial student. Now, what I found is you can highlight this lot and put it into Excel if you really wanted to store in a different manner. There are a couple of other things that we can do in Clickers, moving content around in the library. We'll have a look at that another time though. So, good luck with your plicking.